It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That is some blistering, heavy thrash metal, a song called Slaughterize from the band Onslaught. And on the phone right now, we've got the one and only guitarist of Onslaught. We've got Nige Rockett. Nige, how you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks, Chris. And you?
Excellent, man.
Nope.
Well, dude, as I told you right before we started the interview, love the record. 6, it's simply called 6, and it is absolutely blistering from start to finish. So right off the bat, man, congratulations on a seriously killer record.
Thank you very much. That means a lot. Thank you.
Sure. Well, Nige, 6 came pretty quickly for you guys, right after Sounds of Violence. Sounds of Violence was out in 2011, this one in 2013. That's a big jump forward from previously where there was, a 5 year, 5 years in between. What made it so that you guys could come back fairly quickly? Was there just a lot of vibe in the band following that release, or just growth as a band, or you just wanted to work faster, or what?
It was a combination of many things, really. I mean, obviously there was a long gap between Kill in Peace and Sounds of Violence, which I think we were kind of finding our feet coming back with the Kill in Peace album. And Andy Rosser Davis joined the band just after that album was released, and he obviously got involved with the writing situation with me, and we started to really get some good ideas coming together. We toured. The demand for us touring after the Kill in Peace release was so much that because we'd been away so long, and we just found ourselves constantly touring for like 3.5 years, and it really didn't give us too much time to concentrate on writing the follow-up of the next album, which we should have done. Mm-hmm. Instead of keeping the momentum going with the releases, we were doing it on the live front, but letting the releases go. And the label said, look, you can't really, if you want to keep moving onwards and upwards, we need to get the next album out much quicker than previous records,
Sure.
So, I mean, once we'd written the SOV album, we actually started writing the follow-up even before that was released. So we were kind of getting ahead of the game a little bit. And things, once we'd got in our rhythm between me and Andy, things would come really easy for writing. We were working as a good team, lots of ideas coming out, and this album was really quite easy for us to write. We were with so many ideas kicking around, and it was a real pleasure and a quick process for us. So obviously the label wanted it quick, and we give it to them as quick as possible.
Sure. Well, the one thing that I definitely noticed from this album, as different, especially from Sounds of Violence and Killing Peace for that matter, as well as it seems like, musically, not so much vocally, but musically, there's a lot more diversity within each song. There's a lot of tempo changes. There's a lot of, there's just a lot of different writing stuff in there. There's different guitar parts. There's kind of like underlying, rhythm parts that are going on that's different from the previous two. Was that just growth as a band, or am I just hearing something that maybe doesn't even exist?
Oh, no, it's definitely there. I'm glad you've noticed it. It's great that people who really know music pick up on these things, and it's totally intentional. As I said, we've grown from Kill in Peace to Sounds of Violence, and we've grown from Sounds of Violence to this one. I think learning from what the good things, what we did on those previous albums, and adding to that, and diversifying from that, and bringing in more influences from other styles maybe, and it's created, I think, our most unique album yet, and our strongest album yet, the most different album for sure.
Sure. Now, one big difference in the band is in the rhythm section, with Mike Horahan taking over for Steve Grice, who, really kind of screwed you guys,
Yep.
when you guys were getting ready to go on tour. If you want to tell that story, please do, but most importantly to me is how has the vibe changed with Mike in the band versus Steve?
Well, Mike's absolutely fantastic drummer, He comes from a more death metal side of things musically, and very, very technical drummer, and it allows us to expand our horizons a lot more, I mean, it's kind of limitless to where we can go now, and that's obviously shown up on the last album, that the horizons have expanded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it gives us a lot more scope, really. I mean, people quit the band for whatever reason. They have, you know. I mean, as I said, you only take out of this what you put in, and if you're not willing to put in the hard work, it's time to move on, you know. And
sure.
I guess that's what kind of happened then. So, but as we look onwards now, we've got a great lineup, and as you said, Mike's a great drummer, and we look forward to making the next album even stronger again. So,
sure.
it's a good camp. It's happy, and everything's very cool. So we have a lot of fun.
Cool. Now, let me ask you, Nige. You know, I'm sure you're not a stranger to this, but there's been a really strong resurgence of thrash as a genre in the last, I'd say, 5 to 8 years, and you know, I don't only mean, you know, because of the Big Four tours and all that stuff, but I mean, lots of Exodus and Death Angel type bands have come back, as well as bands like your band or Destruction or you know the Sodom just have come back with probably the strongest music that they've ever made. You know, why do you think that it has had such a resurgence, you know, recently?
I don't know. I mean, I totally agree with what you say. I mean, it's definitely why it's becoming strong, because everybody seems to be making good music again. I mean, I think the Big Four tours massively helped to publicize the genre again and make new generations very aware of it. And then, fortunately, the likes of Testament, Creator, Overkill, Onslaught, blah blah blah, Sodom, all making great music again. So that really reinforces everything that's gone on with the Big Four thing, and it's like all these young kids, next generation, are rediscovering how good all these bands are, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And long may that continue, because I don't know, everybody seems to be really fired up at the moment about making some good aggressive music.
Sure. Now, as a guy that's been doing it for a long time, what's your opinion of these brand new bands that are really keeping the style of, you know, really old school thrash alive? Bands like Havoc or Warbringer or Municipal Waste, and you know, there's literally a flurry of brand new bands that are out literally 3 to 5 years that really incorporate that sound. What do you think of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. There's another wave of bands coming on. I think maybe it'd be nice for them to start taking it in a little different direction, maybe. But I mean, it's very good that there's because I think they drag in the new fans as well. You know, that helps bringing in, as you say, the younger kids into it as well, and then they come back and check out all the influences of your bands like Warbringers and stuff. They look who they were influenced by, and that obviously makes all the fans look back at the older school bands, you know.
Sure. Now, Nige, looking at your band, you know, basically probably the biggest change, I guess, when the band reformed in 2005 was Cy Keeler jumping on and you know, taking over the vocals, and he's clearly had plenty of time now to establish himself with 3 records and God knows how many tours and whatever with the band. You know, 2 questions out of this. One, do you think that he's finally comfortable as the vocalist of Onslaught? And 2, have people stopped asking you about Steve Grimmett when they talk about Onslaught?
Well, the thing is, I mean, because when the first time around, I think the Force has always been held up until the last few years as probably our best album. And obviously, Cy Keeler was singing on that album. He was always a great frontman, and I think the fans always related to him as the Onslaught singer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Steve Grimmett came along, in whatever circumstances, however controversial, and what happened is history, but the fans never took to him, you know?
Right.
Never really, he got a difficult time sometimes when we were out on the road, particularly in Germany and stuff, and I think the only way when we came back was the only way it was going to work was with Cy, because that's who the fans want to see back, and that's the only way it could be, really. There was never an option for maybe like Paul Mahoney to come and sing, because Paul's not that type of vocalist. He could have never sung anything off the Force or In Search of Sanity.
Mm-hmm.
And as we said, Steve Grimmett was never accepted truly as the Onslaught singer. So the only way it was going to work with Cy, and Cy's came back and showed exactly that he is the singer of Onslaught, and that's his job, and he ain't going to let nobody else have it.
Sure. And as a fan of the band, I would just add to that maybe that Cy has just he's grown as a vocalist. I mean, the early albums, yeah, he was kind of a screamer, where now, I mean, he certainly still screams, but he definitely is a lot more diverse than he was in the past, don't you think?
Yeah, I think probably having the layoff has helped him vocally, as well. I think his vocals seem to get stronger and thicker with every album we do. It's incredible. I mean, he just finds it so easy as well to hit some of the notes, but with such great power as well. It's incredible. And obviously good for the band that he's getting better with everything we do, So, I mean, and the fans do love him. Like that's the thing. I mean, everywhere we go, it's like Cy,
right.
Which is cool. I mean, he's the front man, and that's what he's there to do. So, definitely the right person for the band. That's for sure. No question of that.
Right on, man. Well, Nige, looking at the business itself of, the recording industry, it's so different today. And I mean, it's so spur of the moment. And, if you put out an album too soon or get it to the factory too soon, it gets bootlegged. And then it's, the release is almost ruined before it even comes out. And, it's definitely a totally different ballgame than in the past. Is it at all profitable to keep making records right now, or do you guys just kind of use the records as a means to get back out and tour? Or I guess my question is, why does a band that is not U2 or the Rolling Stones or Metallica record and put out albums at this point in the business?
Well, that's a good question. Tough question, actually. But, I don't think, personally, my opinion is we can't survive without the record labels. I don't think.
Okay.
I've yet to see a band of not. I'm sure bands like Rolling Stones and blah 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 could go out and self-release and make a fortune out of it. But I've yet to see any band kind of our stature around that kind of region who could do that and do it in a successful way. I mean, labels have a massive network of connections. They have their distribution, and I know record sales are down dramatically from what they were back in the 80s, but I believe we still really need these guys to sell the band. I guess probably, I don't know, that's a really difficult question to answer, but I even believe Metallica, I think they're gonna possibly do some kind of self-release, but it's going to go through another label at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. It's not just going to be Metallica distribution, blah blah blah, etc. They're going to go through a distribution network, but they'll probably just have the front end of whatever. But it's still going to go through the system, if you like. Mm-hmm. And they need to do that to shift such units. I just can't see how it would work otherwise. We really need them, and I think it's not going to benefit bands at all if the labels do eventually disappear.
Right.
Because, I mean, if you've got you've got a new band come through called, I don't know, XYZ or whatever they're called, and nobody knows them, how are they going to get their name out there? Well, they can start up on Facebook and maybe, but it's never going to work. You need people need to know you're there, and I still believe I'm a great fan of labels if they do it right, I think they do some things wrong. Mm-hmm. I think CDs are far too expensive for what they actually cost in manufacturing, and I think they don't help themselves by keeping those prices so high. And I think if they brought them down a few bucks, 5, 6 maybe, I think it would encourage fans to start buying it on bigger scale.
Sure. One part that I think that the labels have just fallen flat on their face with is the way that they give bands basically one, they give them one record. They give them, I can't even think about how many bands have been out there. They put out something that doesn't take off and they're gone.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, this is, I had this conversation with somebody. We were talking about, he was saying, well, what do you think is going to happen with the next wave of bands that we spoke about just now, like your Warbringers and Havoc and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, they're never going to reach the levels of Metallica, Anthrax. Not to say that they're as good as those bands, but there's never going to be another AC/DC or Metallica or Aerosmith or Motley Crue. I just cannot see it. It's not going to happen. There's not the investment there. And as you said, the bands, labels used to invest long term into bands, put a lot of money in at the beginning and nurture these bands through. But now, because of the situation with downloading and all that, the labels don't want to invest that money. It's too much of a risk.
Sure.
So that kind of backfires on all the younger bands coming through and makes it extremely tough for them. And it's not easy for even the bigger bands now. So
right.
I think something's got to give somewhere. And I think the only way is the labels need to wise up a little bit and bring prices down and try and get the fans back on side, and give something back a little bit. I mean, they're still making obviously decent profits on these things, but obviously not like they used to, but they just, I don't know.
Sure.
It's tough. I just can't say. I don't know what your thoughts are on it. How you see it going. Whether there's where the next Metallica and Iron Maiden are going to come from. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, you know what? We talk about it all the time on the show, and it's actually scary. As these bands slowly go away, and I won't only stick with thrash. Black Sabbath is now saying that this has been their final tour, and it's like, wow, that's another gigantic band to just not be out there, and there's no one to fill the shoes. Yep. And for me personally, I think it's more about the artist development. And I know they're not metal, but I always point to a band like Journey that had 5 or 6 albums that the label stuck with them, where they couldn't sell dick, and then all of a sudden they sold 140 million records behind it. So there is something to. There's definitely something to it, to building up a band and then letting them grow with their fans.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this bizarrely enough, this is these 2 last albums, Sounds of Violence and 6, the first 2 albums we've released on the same label consecutively, which is kind of weird. But
sure.
But we found a label now we're comfortable with, and they're very comfortable with us, and they're being fantastic on this album, and they're really pulling out a lot of stops on this one. So, I mean, we've already indicated we'd like to continue a relationship for another album, and that's the way it works. I mean, we have faith in them, and they've hopefully got faith in us that we're not going to go and sign to another label next time around, because if we ever gave them that inclination, I don't see why they would want to push it really hard for us. So, I mean, it's nice to have a bit of trust and that we've got an ongoing relationship with the label.
Sure. Well, it doesn't hurt either that you've got an album that just absolutely slays.
Thanks,
You
man.
Well, so what kind of touring plans does Onslaught have this year? Are you guys going to be doing a good bit of touring for behind 6, or what's it look like?
Yeah, well, we don't ever stop. I think that's what it's all about. I mean, that's why we write the music. But we've only just come back from Russia about end of last week. We've been over there for 7 shows.
Okay.
Which was kind of crazy.
Sure.
We got about 4 weeks off, and then we go out into Europe for the first leg of the tour to promote the new album. The album's out this weekend, I believe. And then let it sink in for a little while, and then we go out, I think, on the 9th of October.
Okay.
I think we're back then for a little while, and then we're off to South America. Mm-hmm. And then we should take a break and continue writing some more for a little while, and then I think we're currently talking to our agent about US and Canada for April, May next year. So.
Excellent. Let me ask you, Nige, and this is just more a curiosity question than a true interview question, but you, I'm sure, like everybody else, you see the state of the world right now, and you see, literally all the political stuff that goes on and all the hatred that goes on between this group and this country and that country. And here you guys are going out, to a lot of these countries. I mean, is there a fear of that at all? I mean, do you ever see a country on your itinerary and go, ooh, boy, I'm not going out on those streets alone?
No, I'm not. I don't. Things like that don't fear me at all. I mean, we've been into some absolutely unbelievable situations throughout our history.
Right.
We've been in war zones. We've been in gunfights outside the big venues, and obviously there was a situation going on with the UK and Ireland many years back. I'm sure in the States is aware of that.
Sure.
And we were one of the first English bands to go back to Ireland after all the problems that had been there. But I mean, what's it to us? We're not involved. We don't take political sides. We're there to play music for the fans. We've never faced any problems anywhere in the world. We've been to some crazy dangerous places, but I think you go out there and you be yourself and do what you do. Just get on with it. I mean, maybe we've been lucky. I don't know.
Right.
It's always nice to have a little bit of edge in your life, you know. live on the edge a little bit. I mean, it's always a good story to tell when you come back.
Sure. The grandkids will have something to hear later, right?
Oh yeah, there's a few. Yeah, there's a few.
Nice. Well, Nige, before I let you go, I have to ask you what is known as the traditional classic metal show question. We ask this to everybody, have for 10 years now, so let's see if you've got an answer for this one. How has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career?
Massively. Because when we first started as a band, we started off as a hardcore punk band with a metallic edge, you know, but, and also I was into Motorhead at the same time. So they were the guys who kind of steered us from the pure hardcore punk into a more metallic point where we sort of followed on to the Power from Hell album. And then in 1986, we were fortunate enough to be invited onto the Orgasmaton European tour with Motorhead. We went out into Europe with them for a month, and that was the best experience in the band I think we've ever had. Okay. I mean, these guys were absolutely huge at the time, and we were just young kids.
Sure.
And the respect they treated us with was absolutely incredible. It really was. I mean, there's these guys, like one of the biggest metal bands around, legends, like and they just treated us so well. They every day they would ask if we wanted anything, and there was just no ego whatsoever, man. It was so refreshing. I mean, we've been around for a long time now, and you do see a lot of egos in this business.
Oh yeah.
But for those guys, there was none at all. And every night, Phil Taylor would come on and introduce the band for us. And even a few nights, on the first couple of nights, we kicked their asses a couple of nights. We really did. And it made no difference to them whatsoever. It made not a blind bit of difference. And next night, Phil would be out there and winding the crowd up that how good we are. And it was amazing. And they just really took us under their wings and like they treated us so good. Fantastic. I can't speak highly enough of them, and obviously we've known Lemmy for a long time now, and obviously wishing him the best of health, you know?
Sure, definitely, man. Well, Nige, as we said at the beginning of the interview, the new album from Onslaught, it is simply called 6. It is an ass kicker. There's no question about that. So I'll tell you what, Nige, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the artist or from your new record. And so why don't you pick a song for us to end the interview with and maybe tell us a quick story about it?
Difficult one. 666 is it's got a kind of interesting little tale behind the lyrics of the song and the title, I guess.
All right.
We've had a track called Metal Forces. It was on the Force album. It's kind of always been the unofficial Onslaught anthem. You know? If we don't play it at a show, we'd get lynched by the fans. You know, it's one of those songs that you must play. So we felt, well, it's time we wrote a new one of those. We need a new kind of hooky, sing-alongy, catchy song. So that was the intention when we wrote that song. That was what that was going to be about. But we had this review, funnily enough, on Amazon US.
Okay.
Last year for the Sounds of Violence album, and it popped up on the list of reviews, and it must have been some Christian guy or someone who really didn't like Onslaught. And he wrote, this band are demons. They play music from hell. They sing about war, death, and hatred, and they play the devil's music. And it was like, this is the best review you could have ever written us, man. It's like, do you realize what you're doing? Like, it was absolutely incredible review. And I was like, we've had it put on t-shirts. It was so cool, and it's amazing. So that song is kind of influenced from this review, in effect. Obviously, with the line "We play the devil's music" is in the chorus, which we kind of lifted from that, what he's written about us. So, yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's awesome. Well, let's check it out right now. This is Onslaught with 666 right here on your Classic Metal Show.